A lot of y'all have heard about Mardi Gras and king cake, but yet have never been to New Orleans or Louisiana to experience it. So in this video tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to make a New Orleans style king cake. We're gonna make our king cake dough in our bread machine. Here is the well. I'm gonna take some warmed milk. This is 1 cup. I like to use plain almond milk. You can use regular milk if you want to. I'm gonna add that in there. And then 2.5 teaspoons of bread machine yeast, active. And next 10 minutes, we're gonna let this sit. This is gonna bloom our yeast, and then we're gonna continue on with the process. Continue adding our ingredients in here. I've got a cup of unsalted melted butter I'm gonna pour in now. Then I've got 2 room temperature eggs. Then I've got the zest of 1 lemon. Scoop that out with my fingers. Then I've got a teaspoon of vanilla extract. 4 cups of all-purpose flour. You can also use bread flour if you have a preference. It really doesn't matter. This is the part I always get nervous on. Don't make a mess. That's not too bad. Whew. All right, and then a teaspoon of cinnamon and a teaspoon of salt. Now I'm gonna put this in my bread machine and I'm gonna set it on our dough cycle, and that should take about 1.5 hours, and then after that I'm gonna let it proof for a little bit longer, and I'll work it onto the surface and we'll take it from there. Our dough has completed proofing inside the well here. You see it's poofy. Before I do that, I went ahead and cleaned the surface. I've got it floured here. We're gonna make 2 10 by 18 rectangles for our king cake. I went ahead and I took a little measuring tape here, 10 across, 18 wide, and I just kind of used my little divider, and as you can see, made my shape. For those of you that are not geometrically inclined, if I could get that even out. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut my dough in half and make 2 rectangles like so, and I will see you after that. Our cinnamon sugar filling right here, I've got 1.5 cups softened butter. I'm gonna spread out on both of our rectangles, and I'm gonna follow that up with what we have in here is a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, a tablespoon of cinnamon, and a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And I went ahead and whisked all that together. So we're gonna put the butter on, and then we're gonna follow up with our seasonings. Our next step is going to be taking our cream cheese filling as well as the lemon curd that I did earlier, and we're going to do a little line on the outside of the top here for the cream cheese and lemon curd. We're going to put them side by side before we tuck and roll in our first part of our king cake. So in this container here, I've got 8 ounces of cream cheese. I've got a 1/2 cup of sugar. I've got 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract and a 1/2 teaspoon of lemon juice. That's right. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix this together really quick. And then I'm gonna put it in a Ziploc bag and make a little makeshift piping bag to pipe it out onto our dough there. I don't have any piping bags at home. I know we're not all bakers, neither am I, like professionally, but you can take a Ziploc baggie and just cut the corner off on a bag, and then you have your own little makeshift piping bag. See? And you'll fill it in on this end, obviously, and then you just squeeze it on out. So I'm gonna make 1 for our cream cheese here, and then 1 for our lemon curd that I made earlier. Look at that. All right, here we go. Not bad for a first pass and a first take. Lemon curd has been assembled. It's not as solid as the cream cheese, as you can see. So I'm just giving it a few passes. But again, all our filling, you want it to be at the very top on that one end of the roll. You don't want it all in the middle and stuff, because we're trying to keep this roll, when we roll it up, as tight as possible. To roll our first part of our king cake up. gonna go over the top of that cream cheese filling there and our curd, which granted again, our curd is a little runny, but just push it in, tuck it. I like to go ahead and pinch the ends to kind of contain what we got going on here. And then you're just gonna roll it as tightly as possible towards you. And we're gonna do the same thing with our other rectangle. And then we're gonna intertwine them like a braid, which when we get to that, I'll show you. All right, ta-da, there is our first roll of our cake. Got our 2 rolls here, and I've greased some baking pan, lined it with parchment paper, obviously. I wanted to also add, I have a recipe where I make cinnamon rolls. This is identical to it, essentially. You could go ahead and cut them up and proof them on a pan and then put icing on them, and then you'd have Mardi Gras cinnamon rolls, just throwing that out there. But, so now we're gonna take and we're going to twist these together. I like to take one end and kind of, you know, blend it in, pinch it together, and then, you know, as you can see, just twist them. And then, kind of come around. Got a little bit oozing out. Ah! But yeah, this is why we're gonna pinch it off. And then it'll rise again. I'm gonna set it over here with a sheet over it. And it's going to rise again for another 30 minutes, and then we'll revisit it and get it in the oven. I'm gonna have the oven preheating at 350 while we do that. While we wait for our king cake dough to double in size before we put it in our preheated oven, I've got the stuff to make our topping here for the king cake. This is 4 ounces of cream cheese, 4 ounces of unsalted butter, a cup of powdered sugar, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix that together, and then we'll have that ready for whenever our king cake comes out, and we let it cool off, obviously. Putting your icing on before your cake is cooled off is gonna result in a drizzly, nasty mess. And you just went through all that work, so why would you do that? I forgot to mention, maybe a little crumbly, so have yourself about a tablespoon, 1 or 2 tablespoons of milk nearby to drizzle in as you're mixing to make it more fluid, so my bad. The oven's preheated. I went ahead and took this little trick here. When you bake it for 30 minutes at 350 degrees, it tends to expand. So I took some aluminum foil and shaped it into a ball and sprayed some cooking oil, and I'm gonna put it in the middle here to keep it from bunching up. And then I also have egg wash here, which is basically just an egg whisk with a tablespoon of water, and I'm gonna base the top of our king cake and then put it in the oven, and I will follow up with y'all. We're gonna cook it for 30 minutes and then I'm gonna allow it to cool off, and we'll ice it, and I'll do all the sanding sugar for y'all. Our king cake is baked and cooled. Now I'm gonna take our frosting and frost it, and then we can put our sanding sugar on. Went ahead and cut a slice of our finished product so you can see that is New Orleans style king cake.